Welcome to our training video on secure purchase, which is powered by Caramel Dealer Services, LLC, an eBay subsidiary. With secure purchase, sellers and buyers are verified, paperwork is automated, title transfer and registration are handled, and funds are securely transferred from buyer to seller. Buyers have the option to add financing, delivery, vehicle protection, and insurance during their checkout. Secure purchase is built to help both the buyer and the seller have a secure and successful purchase experience. Why should sellers use secure purchase? Secure purchase offers sellers multiple advantages, including, first, simplified paperwork. Let secure purchase handle the tax, title, and registration paperwork, which is ideal for out-of-state sales or sellers without dedicated business offices. Second, you get secure payment processing. This can reduce the stress and time to collect payment. You also get verified buyers. Sellers benefit from a thorough identification process, ensuring you only work with legitimate and vetted buyers. Buyers will increasingly expect secure purchase as the standard for eBay Motors transactions. Adopting it early positions you ahead of the competition, and sellers who embrace and guide buyers through this process will achieve the strongest sales results. This training outlines each step of the vehicle purchase experience for buyers and sellers, from the initial purchase on eBay to the final step of the transaction. Secure purchase is now site-wide and being promoted to buyers at every stage of their shopping experience. Secure purchase is how buyers will buy vehicles on eBay, so please take notes and contact us at any time to help. As soon as a buyer commits to a sale on eBay, secure purchase automatically sends a notification to the seller. This communication serves two key purposes. First, it informs the seller that a vehicle purchase has been initiated. Second, to guide the seller on the next required actions to ensure the transaction progresses smoothly. Once a buyer commits to a vehicle, they'll see two choices for how to move forward with secure purchase. The first is full service, where secure purchase takes care of the paperwork and provides financing and insurance options. Here's what's included: DMV title and registration services, financing options, identity verification, payment collection, and transaction oversight. Under this option, Caramel, who powers secure purchase, becomes a dealer of record. That means that they act as the intermediary between the buyer and the seller. So what does the seller do? They ship the title to secure purchase, they then ship the vehicle to the buyer, and secure purchase handles the rest from funds to paperwork. Now let's talk about option 2, where the buyer chooses to manage the process themselves. This is a more hands-on route for the buyer, but secure purchase is still involved. Secure purchase will still verify the buyer's identity and collect a payment, but the seller stays the dealer of record. This means that the seller ships the title directly to the buyer and the buyer handles all of the paperwork. Regardless of which option the buyer chooses, eBay will send clear notifications to the seller to make sure they know exactly what to do, whether it's shipping the title to secure purchase or directly to the buyer. We encourage all sellers to work with their account manager to understand these two transaction flows in detail and to set up their seller profile based on how they'd like to handle these transactions. Your account manager will walk you through the best practices for your dealership and ensure that your setup aligns with your preferences. Now that we understand the basics, let's walk through the buyer experience with eBay Secure Purchase, so you understand exactly what your customer goes through and how it benefits both them and you. We will go through each step in detail a little later in this training. In the first step, the buyer reviews key details about the vehicle purchase. In the next step, we will verify the buyer's identity. After the buyer's identification is verified, the system will verify how the buyer will pay for the vehicle and will offer cash and financing options. After payment options are verified, the system will prompt the buyer to verify their insurance, offer an extended warranty, and offer transportation options. Once this is done, the buyer will approve the final costs, link their bank account, and complete the final paperwork. The buyer is then finished and waits for the seller to complete their portion of secure purchase. The seller's first step is to review and confirm the vehicle and purchase details to make sure everything is accurate before proceeding. Dealers are usually pre-verified, but if not, the seller will complete an identification verification just like the buyer did. Next, the seller will upload photos of the title, odometer, and VIN. If your vehicle is financed or leased, we will coordinate directly with your lender. After that, the seller links their bank account to receive payment and then electronically signs the necessary paperwork to transfer the title. That's it. Secure Purchase keeps the process simple, secure, and professional, so you can sell with confidence. Now, let's talk about what happens behind the scenes once a transaction is created. Secure links are automatically generated for both the buyer and the seller, delivered via an API and safely stored on eBay's platform. These links give each party access to their personalized Secure Purchase data. When a seller clicks into Secure Purchase through eBay or an email, they arrive at the vehicle dashboard. From the dashboard, a Continue button takes them right to where they left off before, making the experience smooth, intuitive, and efficient every time. Once the seller lands on the vehicle dashboard, the next step is easy. They simply click on the Continue button, and they'll be taken directly to the title step. Depending on whether a lien is detected on the vehicle, the system will show one of two possible pages. In most cases, especially for dealer sales, the vehicle does not have a lien. In that scenario, the seller will see a streamlined screen where they can upload their title information and move forward. As the system confirms whether there is a lien or not on the vehicle, the seller will be presented with two options. They can either click the Continue button to move forward, or they can click the text link that says, "I have a loan or lease on my vehicle," if they actually do have one. If they select Continue, they'll be taken straight to the document upload page where they'll provide the title, odometer, and VIN information to complete the title step. After uploading those 4 images, just click the Continue button. If the seller has a loan on the vehicle, they'll be prompted to upload 2 images. On a single page, they will upload the VIN and odometer of the vehicle they're selling. After the seller uploads the VIN and the odometer and clicks the Continue button, they will progress to the payment step. The first screen you'll encounter in the payment step is the price breakdown page. This is a critical checkout where you'll see a detailed summary of the payment amount you can expect to receive. Sellers, take a moment to carefully review the breakdown. Ensure all figures look accurate, including any deductions, if there are any, loan payment amounts, if there are any, and your expected payout. If something doesn't look right, pause here and reach out for support before proceeding. For step 2, you will click the Continue button to select the desired payment method. After reviewing and confirming the price details, click the Continue button to proceed. This will take you to the second part of the payment step, where you choose how you want to receive your funds. The seller can link their bank account via Plaid, or you can enter in bank wire transfer details manually. In this slide, our seller has chosen the Plaid option, so they can click the Continue button, which will launch a Plaid model window. From there, the seller can search for their financial institution and enter their online banking credentials to securely connect their account. To set up the wire transfers, the seller will begin by clicking the Continue button. After making a selection, the seller will enter in their banking information and submit it once they are ready. Once the seller has successfully selected the preferred payment method, they will proceed to the final step in the process, signature. Once the seller reaches the signature step in the transaction process, they'll see a list of all the documents they need to sign. Each document comes with a short description to help them understand what it's about. When the seller clicks the View and Sign button, they'll be redirected to DocuSign. There, they will be guided through the process of signing each required document. Once the signing process is complete, the seller will be redirected back to their Secure Purchase homepage. Clicking on the Continue button on the Congratulations page will send the seller to the What's Next page, providing them with an overview of what to expect next with the sale. Subsequently, clicking on the Continue button on the What's Next page will redirect the seller to their dashboard. Before we move to the buyer's portion of this process, we wanted to recap what's next so the seller has a full understanding of the process. Here's what to expect after the buyer completes their portion of the transaction. First, with pickup and delivery, do not release your vehicle to the buyer or a transport company until we give you the green light. We'll notify you once the buyer's payment is complete and funds have cleared. Next, send the title. After the buyer signs, You'll receive an email from eBay with a prepaid label. Use that label to send in your vehicle title. We can then begin processing the guaranteed payment. A copy of this information will also be emailed to you for your reference. When ready, click the Continue button to move forward. As the seller is completing their portion of secure purchase, the buyer is also being asked to enter their information into secure purchase. When the buyer enters secure purchase, they will land on the vehicle dashboard page. No matter what step the buyer is currently on, they will always land on this dashboard with the prompts to finish their part of the process. In this stage, the buyer starts the identity verification process. When the buyer clicks the Continue button from the vehicle dashboard, they will be directed to the identity step. At this stage, the buyer will be presented with the identity landing page, which introduces them to the upcoming verification process. In this step, the buyer will choose whether the vehicle will have an individual or a business registration. If individual is selected, the buyer will be required to complete a form with the following information: full name, residential address, date of birth, driver's license number, and social security number. If business is selected, the buyer will be asked to provide additional information, including the business name, business type, and the employer identification number, or the EIN. The next step for the buyer is to complete the vehicle registration address confirmation. Following successful identity verification, the buyer will be presented with a confirmation model prompting them to confirm their vehicle registration address. Once the registration address is confirmed, the buyer will be guided to the Confirm Additional Information page to continue the process. Upon completing the identity step, the buyer will enter the financing stage of the purchase journey. The first step in this stage introduces the optional Loan Estimator tool, designed to help buyers preview potential financing terms. To generate a monthly payment estimate, the buyer must enter values for the following three fields: down payment, loan term, and estimated credit score. Based on this input, the system will display an estimated monthly payment. From here, the buyer has two options. They can proceed with financing by clicking the Continue button, which will then direct the buyer to the full loan application page. Or to skip financing, the buyer will click the Skip Financing link, which will bypass the loan process and advance the buyer to the protection step. For the lending application process, if the buyer chooses to proceed with financing, they will be prompted to complete a lending application as the next step in the purchase flow. Once the buyer has filled out all of the required fields, they will click the Continue button to submit their application. Once the system reviews and makes a decision on the buyer's lending application, the buyer will then receive an email containing a secure link that brings them back to secure purchase. Once the buyer returns to the experience, they will see the lending result. If the application is declined, a decline message will be displayed. At this stage, the buyer will have the option to either proceed with financing or to cancel the transaction. Once the buyer finalizes their vehicle financing decision, they will proceed to the protection step, where the buyer can receive a quote on a vehicle service contract. The buyer can choose to either add the vehicle service contract or skip it. After making a selection, they will click on the Continue button or the Decline link, which will advance the buyer to the next step, insurance. When the buyer reaches the insurance step, the system will briefly process and return up to 3 insurance quotes. Please note that choosing insurance through our partner portal is optional. However, the buyer must still provide proof of insurance before they can complete the paperwork. The buyer can click Continue Past Insurance, which will take them to the next step, which is transportation. On this page, the buyer can choose how they would like to receive the vehicle. The buyer may choose to have the vehicle delivered, or if they would like to, they can pick the vehicle up. If the buyer opts for delivery, they will be presented with 2 vehicle delivery quotes, one for open transport and another option for enclosed transport. After the buyer selects their method of transport, they'll be directed to the Pause page. This page serves as a checkpoint, temporarily pausing the buyer's progress so that Secure Purchase can verify the vehicle details and confirm the seller's submitted information. At this stage, the seller must complete their required steps before the buyer can continue. The Pause page has been enhanced to display dynamic information personalized to the specific transaction inputs from both the buyer and the seller, offering a tailored experience for each transaction. When the buyer is ready to proceed, The system will automatically trigger a service call to retrieve the appropriate state taxes and fees for the vehicle sale. Once the service call is complete, the buyer will receive a notification email and the Continue button on the page will be enabled. On the price breakdown page, the buyer should carefully review the payment summary to ensure all charges and amounts are correct. They will have the ability to add or remove options from the protection step and to edit or remove their selection from the transportation step. After reviewing the breakdown, clicking the Continue button will move the buyer to the second part of the payment step, where they will link their bank account. If the total amount due is less than $25,000, the buyer can choose between instant payment or a wire transfer. If the total due is over $40,000, the buyer will be required to use wire transfer only. If the buyer selects instant payment once they complete the signing process, Secure Purchase will provide a secure payment link via Clerk. Clerk enables the buyer to pay the full amount directly from their bank account with funds processed immediately. If wire transfer is selected, once the buyer signs, Secure Payment will automatically send an email with the wire transfer instructions to complete the transaction. Next, the buyer enters the signature step, where they'll see a list of required documents to sign, each accompanied by a brief description for clarity. Before signing, the buyer must complete one final identity verification step via either driver's license scan or a selfie scan. Once verification is successfully completed, the buyer will be able to proceed with signing the documents. Clicking the View and Sign button will redirect the buyer to DocuSign, where they will be prompted to review and sign the required documents. Once the signing process is complete, the buyer will be redirected back to the Secure Purchase dashboard, where they can then look at the What's Next page or be sent back to their buyer dashboard. Completing a vehicle purchase on eBay Motors is more than just listing a car. It's about guiding buyers through a secure, streamlined, and professional process. With Secure Purchase, your role stays the same, selling cars, just with more automation and less friction. Remember, even though the tools are digital, the experience is still human. Reach out, answer questions, and support buyers. This process might feel new or overwhelming to them, and your proactive communication can be the difference between hesitation and a completed sale. eBay gives you the tech to move fast and to bring trust and a personal touch. Please also note, if you reach out and help, you will give yourself a huge advantage in closing transactions. Because at the end of the day, as much as we want to automate everything, buying a car is still an exciting and emotional process, and the connection between buyer and seller is still the most important element in many of these sales transactions. Your willingness to guide, support, and respond can make the difference between a stalled sale and a completed transaction. Thank you for taking the time to watch this training video. Our dedicated dealer support team specializes exclusively in assisting dealership sellers. They're well-versed in day-to-day best practices on selling on eBay Motors and are a valuable resource for navigating Secure Purchase. If you have any questions or need assistance, please do not hesitate to contact the dealer support team at 866-322-9227 or email us directly at motorstrading@ebay.com. Thank you again for participating in this training.